end of the Cold War. Another Labour peer, Lord Glassman, agrees that more defence spending is needed.
There is also an ideological bloc which is in the civil service and aspects of the Labour Party where they think that they're peaceful people and that this era, this is all a Trump war, this is all a Putin war. They don't want to gear that we are living in an age where if you don't have robust means of securing our borders and defending our democracy and liberty, we will become a colony.
A lawyer has threatened to name people from agencies who failed to take action to prevent the Southport killings in 2024. Chris Walker, who represents the families of the 3 murdered girls, said the performance of the police and social services had been unacceptable. 4 men who used Rightmove to research homes in affluent areas before burgling them have been jailed. They were given prison sentences of between 9 years and 10 years and 9 months. The gang stole £1 million worth of valuables. Campaigners against fly tipping are calling for stricter checks for waste carrier licences after their cow was approved for one. Signing the animal up under the name Bovine, they say their application was approved within seconds. The government says it's looking into significant reforms. Anne Maidment applied for the licence on behalf of her cow.
This is a bit of a licensing scandal. You know, the fact that a Charolais cow can be approved in under 3 seconds reveals something seriously alarming.
And the weather, it'll be a mild night with outbreaks of rain. BBC News, it's 7:03.
5 Live Sport.
So here's the first ball of this series.
All the cricket you love.
Save for LBW. Out.
Lives on BBC Sounds.
Smash straight back down the ground, this girl.
Hear ball-by-ball coverage of the biggest competitions on the domestic and international circuits.
It's a 4th wicket and it's the huge one.
Jeez, settle down, Duffer. Sorry, mate.
Cricket on 5 Live Sport.
Oh, I'm living every ball of this.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports, the Champions League with Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday's 5 Live Sport. We're bringing you knockout Champions League football this evening. Anfield is our commentary base, where Liverpool must overturn a 2-0 deficit against Paris Saint-Germain to make the Champions League semi-finals. We'll keep you up to date with tonight's other quarter-final as well. That's between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. And there's a busy night of fixtures across the EFL. But we're going to start by heading over to Wembley, where the Lionesses are underway against familiar opponents in Spain, this time in World Cup qualifying. Katie Smith is there for us. Evening, Katie.
Evening, and what a perfect start for the European champions England. They've taken an early lead within a couple of minutes of this game starting. England 1, Spain 0. The goal for Lauren Hem, messy as you like. It was a corner over on the left-hand side, swung in high, and she's kind of going for an overhead scissor kick as she falls. It just about dribbles across the goal line. Someone on the Spanish team tries to scramble it away, but the referee Tess Olofsson raises her hand, so the goal has gone in. There's a corner now for Spain over on the far side. But just to outline this game, as you were saying, Kelly, outside of a major tournament, doesn't get much bigger. These two have a lot of history at major tournaments as well. England winning the most recent European Championship, Spain the World Cup, each beating each other in the final of those events. It's the first time they played each other since the Euros last summer. This could be absolutely pivotal, though, as the corner just goes along from Spain and out for a goal kick for England. Hannah Hampton. Only the top team of this group qualify by right to the World Cup next year. The others will have to go through a playoff, and both have a perfect record in their 2 games so far. So tonight could be crucial in terms of team news. Both sides with some injury absences, both naming strong 11s as you'd expect. Usual captain Leah Williamson hasn't made the squad today after missing the last 2 months with injury. So Kira Walsh captaining the side, the Lionesses on her 100th cap. Lucia Kendall of Aston Villa has been picked to start in the middle as well, while Spain without 3-time Ballon d'Or winner Aitana Bonmati. No fear though, because they have a 2-time winner in the middle in the form of Alexia Putellas. But what a start from England. That scrappy goal from Lauren Hem, and they lead Spain by a goal to 0.
Katie, for now, thank you very much. We have a lot to get through this evening, but if you want to focus on that game, then there's commentary in full of the Lionesses against Spain on Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. Here on 5 Live this evening, we have full commentary from Anfield, where Liverpool are going to have to launch another iconic European comeback.
There is something special about a European night at Anfield. Olympiacos are going through at the moment, unless Liverpool score another goal. Here's a chance for Gerrard. What a goal! What a fantastic goal by Steven Gerrard! 1-0 down winners by 3 goals to 1.
Well, we talked about the spirit of 77 and 78 and 81 and 84.
Kaka on towards Crespo. Crespo's through. This could be 3-0, and it is 3-0. They're totally shell-shocked at the moment.
Alonso misses, but Alonso puts in the rebound, and this scoreline is absolutely staggering. AC Milan 3, Liverpool 3.
I gave the European Cup to Milan before half-time. It was inconceivable.
Nunes saves! And against all the odds, Liverpool have won the Champions League.
And Royce tucks the ball away. And Borussia Dortmund will make sure there is no Liverpool comeback. Milner sends over the cross. Oh, it's Lovren! Lovren! It's one of the greatest comebacks ever.
This quarter-final will be a night that parents tell their children they were there.
Barcelona, the odds are heavily stacked against this Liverpool side.
I said to the boys before the game, I don't think it's possible, but because it's you, I think we have a chance.
It comes in! It's corner! It's Origi! Liverpool 4, Barcelona 0, and Liverpool may well have produced the greatest European comeback ever.
Well, if Liverpool fans weren't feeling optimistic before that, there might just be a glimmer of hope. They've done it before, and commentary of Liverpool against PSG in the Champions League quarter-final second leg is still to come here on 5 Live this evening. Liverpool, though, are 2-0 down on aggregate. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock, and you can also listen to us tonight alongside the final score graphics and the video printer. If you go to the BBC iPlayer, the BBC Sport app, or the red button, click on Champions League final score. You'll be able to find everything you need there. And we could talk now to our team at Anfield. Ian Dennis can bring us the teams. Evening, Deno.
Good evening, Lady Kelly. Yes, 5 changes that Liverpool have made from the team that beat Fulham at the weekend. Kerkez replaces Robertson at left back, and then Gravenberch, McAllister, Isak, which is his first start since the 9th of December, and Ekitike all start. Jones, Salah, Gakpo and Ungamoa make way. So Mamadashvili in goal for Liverpool. A back 4 of Frimpong, Van Dijk, Kanate and Kerkez. Szoboszlai, Gravenberch and McAllister the midfield. And then Ekitike, Isak and Wirtz. Only the second time that they've actually started a game together this season, and they've previously only played 88 minutes between them when they've all been on the same pitch this season as well. But Paris Saint-Germain, well, they didn't play, controversially, in midweek because their game against Lens was rescheduled until May, and they've named an unchanged side from the team that really did dominate Liverpool last week in the French capital. Savinov is in goal, a back 4 of Hakimi, Pacho, Marquinhos and Mendes, Zaire Emery, Vitinha and Neves, Doué, Dembele and Kvaratskhelia.
And alongside Ian Dennis, former Liverpool defender Stephen Warnock, also at Anfield for us this evening. Stephen, we'll get to talking about the team news very shortly, but just to underline the size of the task that Liverpool have got on their hands this evening. It's a 2-goal deficit, but the game itself was much less close than that.
Yeah, it was. There was a huge golfing class, and it was spoke about on the Champions League highlight show last week, when we said that Liverpool had invested 450 million and they couldn't even go toe-to-toe. That was spent in the summer to be able to bridge that gap because they knew that Paris Saint-Germain were a cut above them. Just interestingly there, Kelly, when we talk about atmospheres, just to go off-piste a little bit, we talk about the great European nights. Usually Anfield's full by now. And the noise you can hear at the moment is the Paris Saint-Germain fans as Liverpool's goalkeepers run out. They're the ones booing, making it a hostile atmosphere. And you just think, if Liverpool believe now, they need to get this place really going tonight. And early doors just don't sense it at the moment, but there's plenty of time to get that going.
Stephen, do you think that's because they don't believe, because of what they've seen so far this season, that maybe the sort of cliche of the big Champions League nights under the lights at Anfield isn't going to hold for this team this season?
Quite possibly. The big thing is that if you give them something to believe in early on in this game, they'll get right behind them. But the big difference is Jurgen Klopp knew how to energise this crowd, he knew how to lift them, but they had the players that could also lift this crowd. At the moment, we're looking round and we've not seen any performances as of this season that really stand out where you say top performances, capable on the night of turning things around. At the moment, the inconsistency, I think many people are thinking, well, it's a flip of a coin which Liverpool are going to turn up tonight, and that's a real concern.
Former Premier League winger Andros Townsend is also with us all evening. Andros, listening to the size of the task that Stephen and Ian have outlined there, did the win against Fulham at the weekend, and okay, it wasn't a spectacular performance, but did that start to ease the pressure a little bit, certainly looking from the outside?
I don't think it really eased the pressure, and I don't think you really take anything from that result. I think tonight is all about the power of Anfield. I'm surprised to hear that it's quiet from Stephen, but I think Arne Slot has picked a front three or a front two in Isak and Ekitike who can get the crowd going, who can be electric on the press when PSG have the ball, to close them down, to force the turnovers. And if Anfield is quiet now, that's when we're going to really see Anfield come alive, when those guys at the front really do press from the front and force PSG into turnovers.
Yeah, the team selection is an interesting one, Stephen. It feels as though Arne Slot has gone for all the big guns available. He's gone for all the big clubs in his bag.
Yeah, he's tried to, but then you've left out Mohamed Salah, and a player who scored at the weekend will be desperate, chomping at the bit to play in a game like this. His confidence has just been lifted from the performance of the weekend, and yeah, I think this is an interesting one. I understand what Andros is saying there about the two forward players, but I watched Isak come on at the weekend. He looked so disinterested, so unfit, and I'm thinking that's a big gamble tonight to play him from the start. I know they'll be thinking, yeah, we can get 50 or 60 minutes out of him, but that's a big ask in a game of this magnitude, and obviously they're looking for a huge performance from him. Fingers crossed he's ready for the challenge, he's up for it, and he's ready to go, because he's going to have to be from the first whistle.
Stephen, going back to Mohamed Salah, like you mentioned, I think that when you play a team like PSG, you need the energy off the ball, you need the discipline to track runners, and at the moment Mo Salah has never had that, but in the past he's had that star quality where you can sort of you can make up for it, you can have other players running for him. But at the moment this season, when he's not had that star quality, I don't think you can start him in a game of this magnitude. I think you need the discipline from all 11 players on the pitch to track runners and press from the front and really get in PSG's faces.
Yeah, well, I understand that, I do, and I just think if you're trying to bring a bit of a quality in forward areas, and you need that one moment, and we do talk about Salah being a moments player, then if that one moment is to fall to him, you'd fancy him in a game of this magnitude. But I totally get what you mean, and especially at home, they being 2-0 down already, they can't afford to leave those spaces.
Well, European football expert Julien Laurent is also at the ground for us this evening. Jules, PSG should, I mean, it's not even arguably, they should be leading by more on aggregate heading into this fixture than they are. There will be an expectation that they're going to have to be a lot more clinical tonight. They have been a lot more clinical.
Yeah, you're right, Kels. They should have won the game in the first leg by more than two, and I think they recognise that. I think the fact that Liverpool are still very much alive in this tie is the problem here for PSG, because had they won the first leg 4-0, there would be no comeback really, because of the gap between the two teams. Now 2-0, if there's a goal early, if Liverpool score first, it's 1-0, the crowd is going to get going, and then it can be a very difficult situation for this PSG team. However, they are also full of certainties. It's exactly the same 11. They didn't play at the weekend, so they're well rested. They had 3 days off after the first leg of this tie, so they're also very confident that they can come here and score. They've only not scored in three of their 46 games this season in all competitions, so more often than not they do score home or away.
Julian, has anything been said in either the French press or the press conferences of Luis Enrique about not scoring enough, about only being 2-0 and taking it to Anfield, and what Anfield can do at special nights?
Yeah, I think the whole club, not just Luis Enrique or the players, they're well aware that tonight is going to be difficult anyway. They all said that Liverpool are going to play much better than last weekend. It can't be worse anyway. They were that bad in Paris on Wednesday, so they will be better. They will have the crowd with them. They will press far more than they did in Paris, and PSG will have to find answers, a bit like what happened last season in the last 16 second leg, for example. So I think they're ready for that kind of challenge, but again, it'd be very different once the first ball is kicked.
But Luis Enrique did talk about the power of Anfield. Andros has already referenced it already about what this place can be like on a European night. But Luis Enrique has once savoured a European game standing on the Kop, hasn't he?
Yeah, it was a great story actually, where he absolutely wanted to come here as a fan, really, not on the bench or anything like that. And being good friend with Luis Garcia, the former Liverpool player, obviously, Luis got him and his friends, I think 10 of them in total, some tickets to come here on a European night, and he was just blown away. I mean, if we just 2 more minutes on Luis Enrique, for me, he will leave PSG at some point. He's about to extend his contract for maybe another couple of years, let's say, or maybe 3 maximum. For me, his dream is to come and coach here in Liverpool, in Manchester, in London somewhere, one of the big English clubs. I think he's made for this league. I think he's made for this culture too. I think he's obviously a great coach, but I think he would work so well with the right English club that for me, undoubtedly, inevitably, at some point we will see him in the Premier League on the bench.
That's something I'm sure we'll pick up on probably post-match in this game at Anfield this evening, where Liverpool have a 2-goal deficit as they prepare to take on Paris Saint-Germain. Before this season's quarter-finals, there have been 17 occasions of a team being eliminated from the Champions League knockout stages with a 2 or more goal lead from the first leg. PSG have been one of those teams more than any other side. It's happened to them 3 times, but I know that if Julien Laurent were back in with us, he'd be telling us this is a very different Paris Saint-Germain from the one that was eliminated earlier in the competition. Commentary of Liverpool against PSG to come then here on 5 Live from 8 o'clock. And there is one other Champions League fixture this evening. Atletico Madrid also 2 goals up on Barcelona ahead of this second leg. Watching this one for us is Conor McNamara. Hi,
yes.
Conor.
Hi, Kelly. It's a healthy advantage that Atletico hold. Home advantage too for this second leg after that 2-0 victory away from home first time. Helped massively, of course, by the red card shown to Pau Kubarski before half-time. Goals from Julian Alvarez and Sirloth have put Diego Simeone's team in a commanding position. There's one change for Athletic tonight from the first leg. They bring in the former Tottenham and Aston Villa defender Clement Lenglet. That's in place of the injured David Hanko. But otherwise, it's the same team. Barcelona, meanwhile, make 3 changes. Eric Garcia will drop back into defence to take the place of the suspended Kubarsi. Interestingly, Barcelona start without Robert Lewandowski and Marcus Rashford. Both are on the bench. Fermin Lopez and Ferran Torres both come into the team. Ferran Torres, who scored twice in La Liga on Saturday.
Diego Simeone never lost a home knockout Champions League game as manager. But Julien Laurent, if there was one team you wouldn't bet against doing it, would it be Barcelona?
Yeah, I think you're right, Kels. I think this team with Lamine Yamal, especially in the current form that they're on, I know obviously they lost at home the first leg with different incident within the game, the red card and all of that. But I think if there's one team that certainly believe they can do it, it's them. They've gone for it as well, because if you look at the team, like Conor just said, it's super offensive. Gavi, Pedri in that midfield. There's De Jong on the bench, even Ferran Torres and Fermin Lopez, for example. There's a lot of energy there. There's a lot of legs. There will be a lot of movement. But at the end of the day, it's all pretty much on Lamine Yamal. If he's on a great day, if he can turn it on, if he can deliver, I think they can qualify. If he's well marked, if they defend well against him, I think it'd be far more difficult for Barcelona.
Stephen, you'll remember when Liverpool came back against Barcelona, Mohamed Salah was injured for that game and he wore the Never Give Up T-shirt. Well, Lamine Yamal has taken this to another level for Barcelona's game against Atleti. Have you seen anything of what he's done on social media? So there's a LeBron James meme that does the rounds of him listening to his music to kind of lock in on big games, and Lamine Yamal has put that as his profile picture on his social media platforms, on his Instagram profile picture. It was the one where his team came back from being 3-1 down to win the 2016 NBA Finals. The inspiration that they're drawing from that is that pretty much the whole team are now starting to post these pictures, sort of copying the LeBron James meme, and even some of the players' fathers have got involved in that. Andros, do you take inspiration from other sports stars, from other disciplines?
I think you have to. I think you have to use anything you can get when you need inspiration. And it's been done before, whether it be basketball and football, take inspiration from Liverpool or Barcelona coming back with PSG many years ago. I think you have to use any sort of inspiration you can get, because 90% of football is in the mind. If you believe, you can do it, and this Barcelona side certainly believe, and it's going to be difficult. We know what Simeone can be like when he's protecting a lead, but if there's anybody that can do it, it's Lamine Yamal and this Barcelona side.
It's amazing, Stephen, how punchy they're being, this Barcelona side, in the build up to this game. It's almost an element potentially of hubris about them.
Yeah, I think you've got to be that way. I think you've got to look at it in the most positive way, because I think everyone's just sort of going, well, it's Atletico, Simeone's going to shut up shop, and there's a real belief around Barcelona that they can go and turn this tie around. I mean, the one thing I am very surprised at tonight, I've got to say, is that Rashford's on the bench. I thought he was the best player in the first leg. He was the one who created the most opportunities, and also what happens then is that it makes it easier to mark Yamal, because you can almost shift a couple of players onto him, knowing that there isn't that much pace, or as much pace as Rashford has on that left-hand side. So whether they're looking at it thinking if we can stay in the game, or bring him on around about 60-70 minutes and he's fresh and he can run at people, but they'll be thinking, they'll be believing that they can win that game and turn it over, because they're a brilliant team, they really are, but they do play that high line, and they'll afford opportunities themselves.
Jules, Antoine Griezmann is off at the end of this season to MLS. 211 goals at Atleti. He's their record all-time leading goal scorer. Tell us a little bit about the Diego Simeone-Antoine Griezmann bromance.
Yeah, loving, really. I mean, I don't know if we can say bromance or father and son kind of relationship, but it's a bit of that. Almost 11 years together over 2 stints, because obviously Antoine left to go to Barcelona, didn't work out, came back. Really where he feels at home. They live in the same kind of block of houses, if you want. They are very, very close, and we saw last week in their pre-match press conference, where both of them were up for it. That Diego Simeone, who's not, trust me, he's not a guy for feelings, he's not a guy for expressing those feelings, even less, but he was full of praise and love for Antoine Griezmann, saying how much he loves him and what a great role model he's been all those years. So it'd be a shame when he finishes at the end of the year, but potentially could finish on a high. They've got a Copa del Rey final to play against Real Sociedad, potentially even a Champions League final at some point too, and that would be very special. But I think the success of Atletico and Simeone obviously was very much linked with the success of Antoine Griezmann on the pitch, and the career of Antoine Griezmann and his success was also very much linked with the work that he's done with Simeone.
Stephen or Andros, have you ever had that sort of father-son relationship with a coach? Either of you can answer that one.
Yeah,
if the answer's no, you can just say that. But
I had a very good relationship with Roy Hodgson at Crystal Palace, where I worked with him at England, and then at Crystal Palace he came and he really did guide my career for 4 or 5 years after that. So yeah, the relationship is very important. Similar to Simeone and Griezmann, these relationships can be very important for a player's career.
Yeah, it's helpful if you win trophies with that player, with the player-manager combination. It's helpful if the player is the record goal scorer at Atleti. Let's go around the rest of the football grounds that we're keeping you up to date with from this evening. We're going to head off to Wembley now. England are taking on Spain. Katie Smith.
Yeah, with 24 minutes played, England 1, Spain 0. England so close, though, to doubling their lead here at Wembley, despite Spain starting as expected to dominate possession, passing the ball nicely. But England on the counter, they are frustrating Spain here. A lovely bit of magic it could have been between Hemp into Bronze on the right-hand side. She backheels it back to Hemp, running onto it, and the curling effort hitting the left-hand post. Remember, this could be crucial in terms of World Cup qualifying for Brazil next year. Only the top team in this group of 4 will qualify automatically to the tournament next summer. England 1, Spain 0.
In the Championship, if Ipswich beat Portsmouth tonight, they'll move 5 points clear of third place Millwall. Meanwhile, Portsmouth looking to create distance between themselves and the relegation zone. At Fratton Park for us this evening, Chris Wise.
Evening, 11 points from Ipswich's final 6 games will guarantee them promotion, and they've got games in hand on all those around them, and they're the ones who are motoring along right now, while some of their rivals have been spluttering of late. Kieran McKenna makes 5 changes from their East Anglian derby win. Kipre, Neal, McAteer, Nunez and the leading scorer Clark come in. Pompey massively helped Ipswich out actually at the weekend, as well as themselves, with that unexpected win at Middlesbrough. The goal scorer in that game though can't play, that's Connor Chaplin, and that's because Ipswich are his parent club.
A win for Southampton tonight would move them a step closer to securing a playoff place. They play Blackburn, and at St Mary's for us, Emily Herbert.
Yeah, evening, Kelly. A win could keep Southampton on the charge, really, for automatic promotion. Just 6 points off the top two. Playoffs, probably the more realistic. Moved up to 5th at the weekend, coming from behind to beat Derby, extending their unbeaten streak to 17 games. 5 changes for them, with Carl Larin, the man trusted to lead the line. Finazaz does not make the squad. It doesn't look so hopeful for Blackburn Rovers. Sat all the way down in 19th, 4 points clear, fighting to stay in the Championship still. Also 5 changes for them. A full debut for once upon a time academy product Nathan Redmond, with Gardner Hickman back in midfield too.
To League One, and Cardiff City need to beat Huddersfield Town tonight to keep their hopes of promotion being secured this week, relying on Stockport dropping points at Wimbledon tomorrow. Tom Gales at Huddersfield for us.
6 points between now and the end of the season guarantees Cardiff an immediate Championship return, Kelly, and it could come even sooner. As you've pointed out, win this evening and 5th place Stockport drop points tomorrow night. It will be mission complete with 4 games to spare. The away end steadily filling up, and they've seen their team lose just once on the road in 2026. Huddersfield's playoff hopes are out of their hands, currently 5 points off the top 6, so they need slip-ups from those above if they want to keep alive hope of avoiding a 3rd consecutive League One season.
In a big game for the playoff positions, it's 4th against 6 as Bolton Wanderers play Stevenage. Sani Rajavajula's there.
And a win for Stevenage, and a 7 clear of their nearest rivals. This their game in hand. They're close to sealing a playoff spot. But perhaps League One's ugly ducklings, but Alex Ravel has a settled, experienced group. Swan-like serenity at the back. 17 clean sheets, level with champions-elect Lincoln. Wanderers wobbling, 1 win in 6. Stephen Schumacher brings back Brighton Loney and Mario Cozy-Dewberry. He scored 6 and set up 8 more. Celtic Loney, Johnny Kenny's up front, and 13-goal Jamie Reid leads the line for Stevenage.
And in League Two, Barrow are clinging on to hopes of saving themselves from relegation. They host Oldham, who themselves are only 4 points off the playoff spots. Adam Cottier will keep us up to date with that game. Adam.
Hello. After 6 seasons in the Football League, it's now or never for Barrow, really, after a wretched campaign that's seen them employ 5 different managers. If they lose here, then there will be a scenario that could see them relegated on Saturday alongside Harrogate. However, a win would take them to within a point of Newport, Crawley and Tranmere, so this is tipping point for Barrow, who've won only 3 times in the last 5 months. Oldham are also in the last chance territory in terms of reaching the playoffs a year after their promotion from the National League.
Elsewhere in the EFL, Rotherham could be relegated from League One tonight. They're away to Wigan. We'll keep you across that and all the other key goals as they go in. And Colchester are playing Accrington. John Terry is there ahead of a potential takeover at the club. In the Premier League, Andoni Iraola will leave his position as Bournemouth head coach at the end of the season. In a statement, the 43-year-old said, "It has been an honour to manage AFC Bournemouth, and I'm proud of what we've achieved together. I'm thankful to the players and staff that I've worked with, as well as Bill, who've all made my time here so special. As for the fans, you've continued to show your fantastic support to myself and the team, and for that, I will always be grateful. I feel this is the right moment for me to step away, but I will always carry fantastic memories of this club." Our senior football commentator Ian Dennis is of course with us this evening. So Ian, not really a shock. We knew that his contract was up and that he was likely to leave at the end of his term, but it is significant.
It is, and it's not a shock, as you say. I'd heard on the grapevine that he would be leaving, and it was anticipated, certainly the word on the street, that he would be returning to Athletic Bilbao to replace Ernesto Valverde. I thought the statement was very classy. I think he's a man of integrity because he doesn't break a contract. There has been interest before when he was in charge at Rayo Valladolid, and he was going to stick with them. And I think there will be that pull to return to Athletic Bilbao, where he played for 15 years and made over 500 appearances. But I think the significance of the statement is that it alerts a host of other clubs to his availability. And it will, if they weren't already, he'll be on the radar, I'm sure, of many, because of the way that he gets his teams to play football, the style of play, the intensity, the attacking, the pressing. And I think what he's achieved in the 3 years at Bournemouth is fantastic. They're in chance of European qualification, but we might not necessarily have seen the last of Andoni Iraola regarding the Premier League, because if, as expected, there is this merry-go-round in the summer, then he'll be high on the list of many a club.
Stephen Warnock and Andros Townsend are also with us. Stephen, as Deno said, he's likely to be on the radar of plenty of clubs. He is being heavily linked with Athletic Bilbao, and Valverde announced he was leaving there last month. But you would think that with what he's delivered in the Premier League, the style that Deno talked about, the fact that it's a club record 56 points in the 24-25 season, broke his own record of 48 points the season before. It's been improvement year on year from him.
Yeah, it has, and I love watching his team. I really do. I love the identity of them, the intensity at which they play. I think he gives them a freedom within that structure as well. The big thing is now is what is his situation family-wise, in terms of where do they want to be? What does he want to do aspiration-wise? Does he want to go back to Spain? Does he feel like he's better suited to Spain? I'd have to argue against that, because I think the way that they play suits the Premier League immensely well. But the big thing is the riches within the Premier League. Will that be too much for him to turn away? And will a project that comes in just change his mind all of a sudden? I think the great thing that he's done is he's made that decision early, and Bournemouth will have been looking at this anyway, but now it gives them an opportunity to look elsewhere, to find a replacement with plenty of time. I think Bournemouth are a very well-run football club anyway, so I'm sure that would have been in hand. But yeah, a brilliant manager in such a short space of time. But you think about what he lost in the summer player-wise and who they sold, basically 4 players out the back 5 with the goalkeeper, and the way that they've answered back this season has been phenomenal.
Yeah, sorry Kelly, I was literally just about to say what Stephen said, is how well he's done having sold key players, and I think it's probably the right time, because you're only one bad season or one bad run away from getting the sack, and I probably thought they would struggle this season with the players they sold in the summer, but the fact that they're still on, they can still get a Europa League place or a Conference League place going into the running is an incredible job that he's done. So in terms of his stock, it's probably the right time to step away at the end of the season.
And it's going to be difficult for Bournemouth to replace him. Or is it, Andros, do you think, given the way that the club is structured and how much admiration there is for the way that it's run?
Yeah, I think it's probably similar to Brighton, where it's a well-run club. There's probably plans in place. Had he left this summer, they were probably expecting it. The contract was running out. So I don't think it is panic time for Bournemouth. I think they've had time to sort of figure out what they want to do next, and the players are in place, the structure's in place, so I think they'll be okay.
What do you think, Stephen, about what's next for Bournemouth?
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting, because the one thing we know about Bournemouth is that they don't have the profit every week from a big stadium. They don't have that money to reinvest, so they are a selling club. They have to sell, and they have to sell one of the big hitters and maybe 2, and that becomes very difficult, like Andros says, is to be able to recreate what he's done over the last few years. But they are a well-run football club. They'll have taken into account that. I think the talks have been ongoing for a long time. You can't look at it even at the start of the season and think, well, we hope he signs a contract. They'll be looking at 4 or 5 candidates for this job. The big thing is do Bournemouth have the ability to attract a big name? Probably not. So you're probably looking at another Iraola, someone who's trying to take that step into the Premier League, who's maybe been at a lesser club in another league, and they want that opportunity in the Premier League to show what they've done, and it's been brilliant for Iraola as well.
Dana, you sort of alluded to this a little bit earlier on, but it does look like it's going to be a summer of huge managerial changes in the Premier League. It's certainly starting to set itself up that way. So is this the move that could kickstart everything?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, you've got obviously Bournemouth, you've got Crystal Palace. We still don't know what's going to happen regarding Manchester United and who's going to be their permanent manager at Old Trafford. Regarding Liverpool, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Arne Slot will be here at the start of next season. I think so. I think that's another possibility, that Andoni Iraola, I could certainly see him here at Anfield. You know, what happens with Eddie Howe at Newcastle United? There are a number of question marks over a number of managers. Pep Guardiola, you know, could, if he was to win the title this year, does he then and the FA Cup, does he then decide to call it quits and go out on a high?
If Arteta loses the league, do Arsenal suddenly look at that and think, well, he's had enough opportunities, he hasn't quite got it over the line? There's quite a few candidates this year, isn't there, or potential jobs that will be available.
Yeah, it'll be a real merry-go-round, that's for sure.
Julien Laurent has rejoined us as well. Jules, is there a lot of interest in these potential free Premier League positions in the summer from around Europe?
Yeah, I think so, and I think for Iraola, he will have his pick. I think he can stay here. He can probably go back to Spain. Obviously, Athletic Club de Bilbao are looking for a manager for next season, and having been a legend as a player at the club and a club captain, being from there, I'm sure this could be very appealing to him.
Do you think that pull will be too great for him?
Maybe not, Deno, simply in the sense that they won't play in Europe, for example. It's been a disappointing season for them, and he might feel that he's ready for something bigger. And I know Athletic Club de Bilbao is big for him because he's from the area and he's played there. However, if it's a bigger club with more money, with more chances to win trophies than Athletic Club de Bilbao, then I think he might be tempted by that. Even as you said, it could be here, it could be United, it could be City. If Guardiola leaves, I really believe that Guardiola won't be there next season, regardless of what happens between now and the end of the season too. So we could have at least half of the Premier League club changing managers in the summer.
Julien Laurent, Stephen Warnock and Ian Dennis at Anfield for Liverpool against Paris Saint-Germain this evening. That is our commentary match. Liverpool trail by 2-0 from the first leg. Andros Townsend is with us this evening. There is another Champions League quarter-final second leg taking place this evening. Atletico Madrid have a 2-0 advantage over Barcelona and they're at home for the second leg. But before we get back to matters at Anfield, tomorrow night Arsenal are looking to get to consecutive Champions League semi-finals for the first time ever. They take a 1-0 lead against Sporting to the Emirates in a match that you can listen to here on 5 Live. Manager Mikel Arteta has been telling the media what he wants from players and supporters.
No fear, pure fire. That's it. Me the first one. Pure fire. That's what I want to see on the players, on the people, on myself. That's it. Go for it because the opportunity is unbelievable. We are in April. We have an incredible opportunity ahead of us. Let's confront it. Let's go for it by really putting absolutely everything into it.
We'll get the chance to talk much more about this game with our football correspondent John Murray at half-time. But Anfield is our base this evening as we bring you commentary of Liverpool's attempt to overcome a 2-0 deficit to Paris Saint-Germain in the quarter-finals of the Champions League. Stephen Warnock, Andros Townsend, Julien Laurent all with us, and it was very comfortable for PSG in the first leg of this tie. Should have been more than a 2-0 advantage. The Liverpool manager Arne Slot then has been responding to criticism about how he set the team up and talked about what the approach will be tonight.
I don't know if a lot has been said about that because I had to focus on Fulham and now on Paris Saint-Germain again. But usually in football I know how it works. If you change the system, the focus is completely on the system and not about what's actually happening. People find it probably very hard to believe what I'm going to say now, but the approach is not so different for tomorrow than it was in Paris, because for the people who know me, I never put out a team and tell them to go to a low block for 90 minutes. Actually, if you're really looking the game back, you could see that we've pressed them high on multiple occasions. Unfortunately, 7 or 8 of those moments led to them being one-on-one to our goalkeeper. So, again, the approach tomorrow will be to take the risk, because that's first of all what we need, but to get the ball off them, you need to press them, and we saw how difficult it is to press these players. But we have to find the perfect balance between being offensive, but to be offensive you need to have the ball, and to get the ball back you have to do so many things well before your attackers can attack. So that's why the history of this club and at other clubs, you've seen a lot of players that are very good offensively but are also able to do the defensive job, because the only way to score is if you have the ball. Two teams are facing each other, both would like to have the ball a lot, and the last time we faced each other they had the ball for 76% of the time. So that's the first thing we have to change, and if we have it more, then it's nice to have attacking threat on the pitch, and that's what we will have.
Stephen, that was Arne Slot talking about how Liverpool were going to set up this evening. He said not much differently from the first leg, but he will expect the players to perform differently within that system. He said you can't get goals unless you have the ball, and you can't get the ball unless you go win the ball. And to win the ball, you have to be able to go and do everything better around the pitch. But have Liverpool shown so far this season that they're capable of doing that?
No, not at all, Kelly. The biggest thing that strikes me is that they don't look fit enough. And when they go and press, they can't press with an intensity. And if they do, for the next 5 or 10 minutes, they can't do it again. And then later on in games, they really struggle to sustain any durability within a game, and it's a massive concern. And I think a lot of teams almost think now, I think if we can hold Liverpool for 50-60 minutes, we'll run over the top of them in the last half an hour. I really do. I was trying to pick apart that press conference when he was talking about it, and there's so much negativity within that, with the way he speaks, the way he says we want to press them, but they're good players. Well, what are you telling your players who are listening to that you can't press them because they're going to play around you? If that was, and I don't like comparing because it's a little bit unfair on Arne Slot. But I'm gonna. But if you had Jurgen Klopp in there, he's going to say we're going to smother them. They're going to find it so difficult to get out, and suddenly the crowd believe it, the players believe it. Everything's different. There's so many negative comments within it. He's so defensive-minded at the moment, and I understand it because confidence is low. But he talks about we might have to do the same as last week. Well, last week you should have been 6-0 down, so you can't do the same as last week. It's got to be 100 times better. Well, give that information out to everyone and say we're going to be so much better tonight, and get everyone in this stadium pumped up from your team talk. And it feels anything but that from him at the moment.
And I know you were talking about the fact that was transmitting itself to the crowd, who'd been very quiet in the early stages to the build-up of this game, starting to make a bit of a noise now inside Anfield, and they're going to need every bit of support that they can possibly get. Because Deno, as much as we talk about these European nights at Anfield, now remember you said before the game against Barcelona in 2018-19 season, if there was one place that it could happen, it would be Anfield. Actually, that's the only time that Liverpool have overturned a 2 or more goal deficit in the Champions League to progress. So this isn't something that they have form for doing.
No, it's not. In fact, only twice in the Champions League have they progressed after a defeat away from home, because you might recall that they overcame a slender deficit against Chelsea in 2007. But there have been memorable nights here at Anfield, and I remember 10 years ago to the day, Kelly, we were sat on the opposite side to where we're sitting now in the Sir Kenny Dalglish stand, and they played Dortmund, and it was a Europa League tie, and it was very emotive, obviously because we're on the eve of the Hillsborough anniversary. There was a spine-tingling rendition of You'll Never Walk Alone, and during that game against Borussia Dortmund, twice Liverpool required 3 goals to go through. They fell 2-0 down very early on, and then when it got to 3-1, again they needed the 3 goals. And as Stephen was alluding to, we actually said this before we came on air, Borussia Dortmund are not the quality side that Paris Saint-Germain are, but there was a belief inside Anfield that night, as there was when we were together for the Barcelona game in 2019, and judging when the team bus arrived today, it didn't have that same intensity. You know, normally there'd be 10 deep lining the streets waiting for the team bus to arrive at Anfield. It didn't have that same levels of desire. However, as you know, the Anfield crowd on a European night, the atmosphere builds. And I thought it was quite tame against Galatasaray, and yet then just at kickoff, it then exploded. And I it might be a bit of a slow burner again tonight, but when they get going, but the Liverpool players have got to give them something more importantly, because they can't be as submissive as they were in Paris last week.
Yeah, I think Deno's spot on, and again, I don't want to compare anyone to this PSG side, but the last time I played at Anfield was for Luton, and we went into half-time 1-0 up. Anfield was very quiet, Liverpool had a lot of injuries, they were very subdued, but in the second half, I think Liverpool came out with a different intensity. They were pressing us high up the pitch, and they were winning the ball back from us, and Anfield just responded, and it turned into like one of the most ferocious atmospheres I've ever played against, and within 15-20 minutes they were 3-1 up from being 1-0 down at half-time. So that's the effect Anfield can have if the players just give them something to bite on, just press PSG high up the pitch, press in numbers, force turnovers, and this Anfield crowd are just waiting to react and waiting for that spark. So even if it is a slow burner, you can never count Liverpool out here.
And the players know that as well. Dominic Szoboszlai has been talking about this in particular, because there was a moment after the Manchester City game where he said it was a misunderstanding in terms of what he was trying to communicate with the fans who were still left at the Etihad after that 4-0 defeat by Manchester City in the FA Cup. But he talked about, you know, how much the fans mean to the players, how much the players and the club mean to the supporters. And he said, Stephen, I believe completely that we can overturn this deficit because I know what we're able to do. But he also said, I know the mentality we have, as we've shown it many times. But again, I sort of come back to the question, have they shown it this season?
No. I saw that interview as well now. I was gobsmacked when I read it. I was thinking, yeah, the mentality was there the year before, but not this year. I mean, so many times we've questioned Liverpool this year. And the easiest thing to do in any team is pick out the weaknesses. And at the moment, Liverpool's mentality is arguably one of the biggest weaknesses. I think everyone probably watching the Manchester City game, when Liverpool went 1-0 down, I think we all just went, nah, that's it, done. There's just a change in body language, in mentality, in the way that they approach the game. So, listen, they will have to believe internally that they can do it. They will be looking around that changing room and they'll be saying to each other, like, we have to put a performance in here. The big thing for me is that the likes of Andrew Robertson, and I go back to the teams of like James Milner, Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, the players that knew how to lift everyone else in the changing room. I don't know whether there's a player within that changing room at the moment, starting tonight, who's got that mentality to lift the rest of the players, and it might have to be Andrew Robertson, who's in that changing room now, geeing the players up, getting them going and telling them exactly what it means.
Andros, one of the players who's capable of lifting the crowd, if not necessarily being a huge force for the other players on the pitch, is Rio Ngamoa, who doesn't start this evening, but Arne Slot has been talking about him in glowing terms and talking about his improvement in glowing terms. He is only 17, but Slot says, you know, he can cope with this type of game because of his personality. He doesn't get distracted, and he's saying that he's becoming better and stronger. We talked about how much he was in contention for this game. Do you think we see him at some stage tonight?
I think we definitely could see him, especially if Liverpool need to spark off the bench. I think he's the perfect player. It was amazing watching him on the weekend. Really just grow in one game. Like the first 15 minutes, he was doing his skills, but he was very safe. He was passing back instead of taking players on. But after like 15-20 minutes, he's starting to get his confidence. He was taking players on, and by 30 minutes, he scored that goal, which was amazing to see. But I think he's ready for this stage now if Liverpool do require him in the second half.
Andros, it was very interesting. I was at that game at the weekend for 5 Live, and I know exactly what you're talking about with Ngamoa. But what you probably didn't see behind him was Andrew Robertson having a go at him, saying, take him on. I don't care if you lose the ball. And that is exactly what you need from your fullback, where you're a senior player and you almost get that nod of approval and that say-so to go, absolutely, if you lose it doing the right thing, though, trying to affect the game.
But it comes back to your earlier point, Stephen. Is Kerkez, who's in instead of Robertson today, going to be the player who does that, or is it going to be somebody who's on the bench, who's the big personality driving the sort of younger, less experienced players forward should Rio Ngamoa come on?
Yeah, but I think what Rio Ngamoa will have learnt at the weekend against Fulham, you've just got to replicate that belief within the game. And even Robbo sat on the bench next to him will be saying, do exactly what you did at the weekend. He'll probably be talking to him as the game's going on and saying, look where Hakimi is now. This is where you can gamble, you can play on the shoulder, but just be positive and lift this crowd if they need lifting at that time, if he does come on.
Half-time at Wembley, Katie Smith.
England 1, Spain 0. What a start for England in this crucial World Cup qualifier, taking a lead against the team they edged in the Euros last summer. Remember, within 3 minutes here at Wembley, a hooked effort from Hemp from a corner. It just dribbled over the goal line, was cleared, not given initially by the ref, but goal line technology intervening imminently. Then Spain motored into their classy possession-based football. They've not quite found their final touch, though. Vicky Lopez wide on her right foot. On a Bache slicing over from close range as well. England could have gone 2-0 up when Hemp hit the post. They're playing with confidence, the European champions, enjoying hitting on the counter. I do wonder, though, if they can hang on like this for another 45 minutes, though, with 10 behind the ball. Russo really the only player up front at the moment. At half-time, though, England 1, Spain 0.
And so we'll be keeping you up to date with everything that's happening in that game. We will also be keeping you up to date with everything that's happening with the other home nations who are taking part in World Cup qualifying this evening. There have been goals for us to tell you about. Just going to get them up and then I'm going to tell you about them. It's finished. It's not finished. The current scores are Northern Ireland 2, Malta 0, Wales 1, Albania 0, and Scotland 0, Belgium 1. And players underway in the 7:45 kickoffs in Leagues 1 and League 2. The two championship matches start at 8 o'clock. Well, you can hear the atmosphere building ahead of Liverpool against Paris Saint-Germain, and the PSG head coach Luis Enrique, who has stood on the Kop on a European night, has been speaking about tonight's challenge and how they can get the result at Anfield.
It's going to be difficult. If you analyze the matches that we played last year, first match it was similar, not in the result but in the condition and in the situations during the match, more or less. And the second leg it was so different. It's difficult to have control when they press all the time. They need to score goals. It means they have to take risks. It's going to be a lot of space, and yeah, it's a different match. We can manage the ball. We love to manage the ball. We love to have possession of the ball, but we can attack also with spaces, and we love attacking in counter-attack also, and trying to be a tough thing in both zones. I think it's one of the best things that we have.
That was Luis Enrique. Julien Laurent is with us. George, you probably watch more of Paris Saint-Germain than anybody else who's on with us this evening. Are they the most exciting team to watch in Europe at the moment?
Yeah, I would say so, with Bayern Munich, really. Not just because of some of the players that they have who are very exciting, but just the way this team as a collective, as a unit, is playing. We talked about it with Deno and Paul Robinson after the first leg. But all those rotations in midfield. Luis Enrique said something really interesting the other day. He said, my dream is to have 20 players in my squad that can play in every position on the pitch, bar goalkeeper, obviously. And I think this team plays in that way. You will have the left back Nuno Mendes at some point being the right winger, and the right back Hakimi being in number 6, and then Dembele dropping off almost as a centre back, and then having you two wingers swapping, and all of that, all that rotations, all those permutations, all that mobility is what makes this team special, because it's hard to defend against, and also it's hard to predict what they are doing.
The Liverpool anthem underway at Anfield tomorrow, marking the 37th anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster, in which 97 men, women and children were unlawfully killed. Countless others continue to be affected by the terrible events of that day. And tonight Liverpool will remember those who died and offer their support and some solace to their families and friends and all who still suffer today, with a moment's silence before the match. But first tonight, their famous song of support will be sung with even more poignancy. tension at Anfield switches to the game itself as Liverpool build up to Paris Saint-Germain. They do have that 2-0 deficit from the first leg. Ian, I saw you recording You'll Never Walk Alone there, and I know you've got a video of the game against Borussia Dortmund that you mentioned, that game in which twice Liverpool needed 3 goals in order to progress in the tie, both sides with You'll Never Walk Alone singing before kickoff in that one. Liverpool are going to need to come back again. It's going to be a tough task for them. Julien Laurent, is there anywhere that Paris Saint-Germain are vulnerable on the pitch?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we saw that against Aston Villa last season, for example, in the second half of that second leg at Villa Park, where PSG had been cruising, but Villa, who had nothing to lose at that point because they were 5-1 down on aggregate, went for it. Pressed really high, which is very risky against this team because you leave space in behind. They can also hit you in those kind of transitions, but if you put them under pressure, if you disturb all that movement and mobility that I mentioned earlier, you get the ball back high, you put them under pressure, and then anything can happen, really. But you'll have to be very good at your pressing, because again, if you miss your press and they beat that press, then you will be left exposed. So it's a double sword thing, right? That's how you say in English. It's double sword because it can work for you very well. Sorry, that's it. But yes, I can't remember what I said even. But clearly not the right thing. But yeah, I think you have to go for it. You're 2 goals down already. You have to go for it, but you know that you could be felt exposed as well.
Andros, that's going to be the key factor. As Jules said, there maybe are some areas where Paris Saint-Germain aren't quite as strong as they are in other parts of the pitch. Problem is, you have to have the players who are willing, able and have the ball enough to take advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly that. And what Julian said, there's maybe half a second between having an amazing press and winning the ball, and if you're half a second too slow, you're second late, and PSG find a way and they're attacking your back four. So there's such fine margins, but if Liverpool can get the press right, can get the crowd behind them, they can create moments in this game to worry PSG for sure.
Stephen Warnock, how much of a chance did you give Liverpool at the end of the first leg in Paris, and has that changed as we are 2 or 3 minutes before kickoff?
Kelly, it always changes when you step inside Anfield and you just get a sudden different belief, and I think the one reason it changed more than anything was that the scoreline was only 2-0 and there is an opportunity here for Liverpool to do something special. However, it's going to be very tough.
Andros Townsend and Julien Laurent, thank you very much, taking you through Liverpool against Paris Saint-Germain in the quarter-final second leg of the Champions League. Stephen Warnock and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, we all know about "This is Anfield," the sign that hangs above the tunnel, but there's actually a Bill Shankly quote to the left of that tunnel on the white wall, and it talks about that sign, and it says it is there to remind our lads who they're playing for and to remind the opposition who they're playing against. Well, the atmosphere has certainly built. It continues to build, and there's no doubt, Stephen Warnock, that this is Anfield.
Oh, absolutely. We talked about it being quiet before. Well, suddenly the Liverpool fans have filled Anfield up and they've started getting really vocal. Paris Saint-Germain fans trying to sing, they're answering back, they're trying to drown them out. But one thing we're going to have to see tonight, Dano, is bravery from the Liverpool players. And it's a bravery to press, it's a bravery to get on the ball, to play in tight areas. There's going to be an element of risk at times from the Liverpool players, and the Liverpool fans are going to have to accept that at times, that it's not going to be perfect, it's going to be rough around the edges at times, but if they get it right, we could be in for something special. As I spoke about before, this Paris Saint-Germain team are an exceptional team, and they're going to have to be at the very, very best tonight, Liverpool.
Well, there will be tributes paid very, very soon to the 97 supporters who lost their lives in the Hillsborough tragedy, as the Liverpool players at the moment are just breaking for a team photo. So I'll give you the team. Mamadashvili, they've made 5 changes. Frimpong, Van Dijk, Konate and Kerkez. Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, Ekitike, Isak and Wirtz is the starting 11 for Liverpool, all in red. Paris Saint-Germain are all in black. They're unchanged from last week's first leg as they pose for their team photo. Safanov in goal, Hakimi, Pacho, Marquinhos and Mendes, Zaire Emery, Vitinha, João Neves, Doué, Dembele and Kvaratskhelia. And our referee is from Italy, Maurizio Mariani. But you're right, Stephen, Liverpool have...
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information and terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk/5live.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform if you're inside the UK. For further information in terms of use, go to bbc.co.uk.
Who now just strokes the ball back to Mendes. And unable at this stage to try.
At least they'll slow it down. Neves and Vitinha, they'll just take the steam out the game now as much as they can. Vitinha is very happy to take the ball in tight situations.
Only for the first time, 8 minutes in, can we hear French voices inside Anfield. Neves just before the halfway line. Just plays it short. Zaire Emery out towards Kvaratskhelia. As there's a little bit of light rain now in the air here on Merseyside. Vitinha will always look to dictate. He will take over. Back towards Mendes. Liverpool have dropped off. Diagonal ball along the ground. Kvaratskhelia able to turn. Dembele pops it off behind him. Zaire Emery back towards Dembele. Crowded out though by the red shirts. And now it's with Kerkez, who plays it forward. Vitinha though read that, did it well with the interception. Now towards Doué, midway through the Liverpool half, and he goes to his right to Hakimi. Hakimi back with Marquinhos, and inside Paris Saint-Germain territory, this is Pacho, the central defender. Mendes is to his left, and then the ball is played out towards Kvaratskhelia, and Dembele, who last week came from so many deep runs, drops deep, now plays the ball forward. Mamardashvili's come off his line, gets there with his knees, picked back up by Dembele, goes for goal, fisted away by Mamardashvili, and then a slip by Hakimi on the edge of the area. He reacted well, it looked like he was in trouble. Hakimi with a cross, away it goes, Doué with a little flick, up in the air. Liverpool there, I thought that would have been a worrying moment, but he got away with it.
Oh, he did really well to start with, Mamardashvili, because he had to come out. He did that well. We'll come back to it, Deno. Kvaratskhelia on the attack.
Left-hand side of the penalty area. Back it goes towards Vitinha. Such is the quality. Liverpool cannot afford to switch off against this PSG side. Doué, right-hand side of the penalty area. Tries to dance his way past Kerkez. Helped out by Wirtz. And Wirtz now will take the ball towards the touchline on this near side. They're defending the Kop, and the clearance is collected by Marquinhos. And Paris Saint-Germain give the ball away. Hakimi, Ekitike runs forward. Pacho against his former Eintracht Frankfurt teammate. Ekitike managed to deal with it. And there is Mendes. Back to you though about that Mamardashvili effort.
Yeah, the shot from Dembele, he does really well, Mamardashvili, because he's retreating, and if he tries to catch it and falls, slips, whatever, then he's in real danger, and it becomes a simple goal for Paris Saint-Germain. So as he's falling back, he punches it, deals with it. There's moans and groans from the Liverpool fans, but I thought it was an excellent save, and it was exactly what was needed. But Liverpool now, they just need to conserve a little bit of energy, then go on the press again. You can't continue to do it for 90 minutes.
Kerkez with the interception, but he overran it, and Marquinhos was able there just to play the ball in field, but Kvaratskhelia quickly came under pressure. But Vitinha likes to get on the ball, and here he is once again passing the ball out wide to the left-hand side. 11 minutes played. Liverpool 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0. In that semi-final against Barcelona, Liverpool had already scored, but the goal doesn't have to come as early. They just have to make sure, Liverpool, that they do get that first goal. There's been a goal at Huddersfield. Tom Gale.
A deserved lead for the hosts. Huddersfield 1, Cardiff 0. Captain fantastic Ryan Ledson with a cushioned half volley from just inside the penalty area. Huddersfield 1, Cardiff 0.
That would leave Lincoln then on, I think, requiring a point for the title, for what has been an excellent season for Michael Scubala's side if Cardiff were to slip up. Cardiff couldn't get promoted tonight as Szoboszlai with a searching diagonal ball goes away from Frimpong and out for a throw. England-Spain, this is live on Sports Extra. Katie Smith.
England 1, Spain 0, but the world champions have come close to an equaliser. Olga Carmona with a shot inside the area, ricochets off the underside of the crossbar, somehow doesn't cross the line. England 1, Spain 0.
Tomorrow night, more Champions League action. Arsenal, who are leading Sporting Lisbon by a 1-0. John Murray joined by Chris Sutton for commentary of that. And further European action in the Europa League quarter-finals on Thursday night as well to look forward to on BBC Radio 5 Live. What a last few days it's been for the station with the National, the thrilling climax to the US Masters, Premier League and now European football here on your home of live sport. Another goal at Bolton. Sani Redvajala.
Bolton 2, Stevenage 0. Lovely work down the left-hand side. Low cross and a Celtic loanee, Johnny Kenny, to stab home. Bolton 2, Stevenage 0.
Stevenage, who are looking just to try and hold off Plymouth as far as the playoff position is concerned. They occupy that last berth in League One. The Stevenage 0-0. 13 minutes played. What have you made of the start?
I think it's been brilliant. I think the game has been fascinating. Liverpool electric for the first 7 or 8 minutes and really put Paris Saint-Germain under pressure. But we know the quality of Paris Saint-Germain. And they've just slowed the game down now, just took the sting out of it a little bit. Liverpool need to pick that back up again and either win a corner, win a challenge, a good run from someone just to lift the crowd again.
Szoboszlai's forward ball. McAllister latches onto it and then quickly passes it out to this near side the left. Coming in from the touchline was Wirtz. Links up with McAllister. Bypasses Kerkez. Just couldn't control the ball, the Hungarian left back. Liverpool, though, still have it. Paris Saint-Germain have retreated everybody inside their half. It goes out towards Frimpong, far side the right, in front of the Sekeni Dalglish stand. And now it's with McAllister, looking for the run of Ekitike. Perfectly flighted. Ekitike with his back to goal. Has to take a step away from the penalty box and then passes the ball out wide. Frimpong steadies himself, delivers the cross. It's deep. Goes over everybody's heads inside the box. It's Kerkez who collects it, just in from the left touch line. Kerkez, encouraged to go on the outside of Hakimi, checks back, goes back outside, now delivers the cross, patted down by Savinov as Chesterfield lead Grimsby by a 0-0 in League Two. Both sides looking for the playoffs. In fact, Chesterfield are the ones who occupy 7th. Grimsby are just outside, although they do have a game in hand.
I just wonder what Liverpool would do when Frimpong got the ball in the right-back position wide, whether they'd really commit numbers forward into the box. They did. They have 4 and 5 bodies arriving. And Frimpong overhit the ball. And it's just got to be better quality from the wide areas. They do have a height advantage, Liverpool, with Isak and Ekitike above Pacho and Marquinhos.
Here is Vitinha. Busy, industrious, extremely talented, keeping the ball well, looking to get forward as well. He actually came here with Wolves 6 years ago and was beaten by 4-0. Mo Salah, on that particular occasion on the score sheet, Mo Salah tonight is on the bench. One of 5 changes that Arne Slot has made. McAllister is one of those returning to the starting 11. I thought he could have just got the ball out towards Frimpong, and when he did, it was easily read by Mendes.
Oh, he's got away with it.
Oh, he's got a free kick from our Italian referee, Maurizio Mariani.
Well, it was so sluggish from McAllister, and you could hear the fans saying, hit Frimpong, play him early. He tried to take a touch inside, play it with his left foot. That is not a foul. And down below us, Luis Enrique is absolutely raging with the referee because his team were on the counter-attack, and it was a really dangerous situation.
Colchester United 0, Accrington 1 is the latest score in League Two. Free kick then for Liverpool, 0-0 here at Anfield. BBC Radio 5 Live. Just over a quarter of an hour played. McAllister take it forward of the centre circle to Szoboszlai, plays it in. Van Dijk guides his header back. Gravenberch on the volley. Savinov under pressure, sliced it, gets it away, headed back by Canate, looping header gathered in by Savinov. Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Conor McNamara.
Barcelona still lead 1-0 thanks to Lamine Yamal's early goal. Athletic 2-1 on aggregate. Barcelona, who've named their youngest ever team for a Champions League knockout match. They've dominated the first 20 minutes. Atletico 0, Barca 1.
Northern Ireland women now lead Malta by 4-0. Paris Saint-Germain have got a throw, they've taken it quickly left-hand side. 2 balls are on the pitch though. Here is Kvaratskhelia clipping the ball in. Ball played back in towards the penalty area. Missed Dembele. Oh, he's hooked it over the goal. 6 yards out. Couldn't keep it down. Slightly behind him. Left-footed. He's got to at least hit the target.
Yeah, it's such a difficult skill because it is falling over his shoulder. It's quite high as well. It is a really difficult skill, but a player of his ability should be at least hitting the target. But the thing is, Deno, so Mamardashvili comes out, he clears the ball. Milos Kerkez turns round, looks at the assistant referee down in the bottom below us and says, is it not offside? As he's saying it, Paris Saint-Germain have thrown the ball in, and you're thinking, switch on. This is a game that you cannot afford to switch off on.
Well, Dembele missed a glaring opportunity last week, which at 3-0 you're thinking would have probably put the game out of Liverpool's reach. He's just had the chance to put them 3-0 up on aggregate, 1-0 on the night, couldn't hit the target.
I think he scores both of them last year, Deno. I think his confidence possibly has dipped a little bit. Doesn't look as clinical as he was last season, but he's in again.
Dembele running out towards that left-hand side. Slows down. Kvaratskhelia goes ahead of him. Dembele though keeps onto the ball. Back towards Zaire Emery. Back out towards Kvaratskhelia. Chesterfield have got a second goal. They lead Grimsby 2-0 in League Two. Kvaratskhelia goes back towards Mendes. Paris Saint-Germain have every player in the Liverpool half.
Yeah, they do, Deno, but they've got a 4 at the back. They've got this diamond sat at the back as if to say, OK, if you're going to break, we've got a decent base that we can almost rely on to sit there. Hakimi's the one going forward. Mendes, he's not really broke his shape too much. If he has, one of the midfielders sits in that left-back position. It's really good from Paris Saint-Germain, really well thought out.
Dembele, incidentally, was an 89th minute substitute for Barcelona in the first leg of the semi-final in 2019. He didn't feature, he wasn't involved at all for the second leg on that famous night in Liverpool's history. That's what they're trying to replicate here tonight. They've had 16 wins at Anfield this season, 10 of which would have had the desired result, either at 90 minutes for extra time or to progress, including in each of their last 7. However, the caveat is the quality of PSG. 0-0, but still very much all to play for. But that Dembele miss, hooked over the top, was by far the best opportunity for either side.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one thing we know, Deno, is you think back to that Liverpool victory against Barcelona, they rode the luck at times. Barcelona did create opportunities. This isn't going to be flawless from Liverpool if they are to win the game and to progress. They're going to have to live on the edge a couple of times in the game. They're going to need Mamardashvili to make big saves at some point within the game.
Just as Alisson did, 4 or 5 significant saves that he made. Liverpool have got to produce the perfect performance, or the near perfect performance, and maybe with a little element of luck, as maybe that was already on their side with the Dembele miss. 0-0 on the night. Paris Saint-Germain though still lead 2-0 on aggregate. Marquinhos looking to try and slow the game down. He's happy then to just nudge the free kick back towards Safanov. He's told with a telling off actually from the Italian referee, don't do that. There was a wag of the finger there from the referee, and to get back on with the game, that Safanov is looking to try and do exactly that eventually. Wouldn't want to test the patience of the ref, certainly wouldn't want to test the patience of this Liverpool crowd. Headed forward, Wirtz with a layoff to Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai again slows down. Doué was in close proximity. Kerkez will chip it long. Marquinhos climbs high in the air, and Vitinha, I don't think, has put a foot wrong tonight. Runs away from McAllister and brings Mendes into it. And the left back now floats the ball out towards Hakimi. Hakimi then out towards Doué on this near side. Doué right hand side. Neves. They're starting to control it. The Liverpool crowd sense it, and to try and make their presence felt inside Anfield as it remains 0-0. Wales women lead Albania now by 3-0. And here is Pacho, the central defender, and Marquinhos goes back to Safanov. Conor McNamara watching Atletico Barcelona.
Barcelona have got their second goal inside 25 minutes. Atleti 0, Barcelona 2, and it's Ferran Torres, took it to a tight angle, swept the ball into the net. Barcelona have been brilliant, and the advantage for the first leg is gone. 2-2.
The chant for Diogo Jota, as always, in the 20th minute at Anfield. Still fondly remembered, still tragically missed. Gravenberch forward, Isak touches the ball. Safanov got a touch on it. Pacho was running back. Flag was up anyway. It wouldn't have counted. But encouragement for Liverpool.
Yeah, and good movement as well. Isak, he should see the player in front of him. Should time his run a little bit better. He wasn't overly convinced with the finish as well. It was almost like he was expecting contact from the goalkeeper. But brilliant from Gravenberch. Well, he is half a yard off. But it's just lifted this crowd where Paris Saint-Germain have retained the ball for the last 5 or so minutes and been better in possession. That's exactly what Liverpool needed.
Incidentally, the winners of Atletico Madrid against Barcelona will take on the winners of Arsenal and Sporting. Mentioned we've got commentary from the Emirates tomorrow. The first leg will be in Spain on the 29th of April. And then Mikel Arteta will be hoping to be at home for the return leg at the Emirates on Tuesday, May the 5th, if they can able to protect or indeed build on the slender advantage from Lisbon a week ago. 0-0 though here in this second leg of the quarter-final. And it is with Mendes, the left-back, out towards Kvaratskhelia. But Barcelona coming from 2-0 down before these quarter-finals, 17 occasions there has been of a team eliminated from the Champions League despite at least a 2-goal advantage from the first leg. And Jules, close your ears. Paris Saint-Germain on the receiving end the most, 3 times, as now they're on the back foot, but coming across is Pacho, and Pacho will put the ball out of play for a throw as we dip into the Championship at St Mary's. Emily Herbert.
Southampton 1, Blackburn 0. Archer the standout today on the near side. Slee into Lauren, who taps home. Southampton climbing up again, 4th. 3 off the automatic. Southampton 1, Blackburn 0.
We are available as well, not only on Radio Merseyside 5 Live and BBC Sounds, but on the BBC iPlayer, the red button and the Sport website for 5 Live final score tonight. So you'll see those goals going in left, right and centre. No goals as yet here, but it's on the right that PSG come forward with Hakimi to Dembele. Back to a trotting Vitinha, lets the ball come across his body, runs away from Isak and back towards Pacho. Mendes on the far side. Kvaratskhelia drops short, looking for Doué, who's gone on ahead of him. Comes off the legs of Frimpong. It'll be a PSG throw that they've already taken. 24 minutes played, and now in the persistent drizzle on Merseyside, it remains 0-0. Pacho back towards Marquinhos, the central defender. Ball over the top. Vitinha was the one making the run. Instead, he'll let it go out towards Dembele, who comes in now and looks for the crossfield ball. Doué arriving. Doué can't control it, and Konate is able to prod the ball away. Just wouldn't sit for him.
No, it wouldn't at all. But he got in front of Frimpong. Konate did well. It was just a heavy touch from Doué. But the warnings that Liverpool are getting here, they're so dangerous. Jules spoke about it before the game. The interchanging forward 3 players. Doué popping up on the left-hand side or as a striker. And then Dembele coming out onto this right-hand side, down in front of us. A lovely little dink ball into the box, but Doué with a heavy touch allowed Liverpool to get away with one.
Daniel Phillips sent off for Stevenage. They're trailing 2-0 at Bolton. Chesterfield 2, Grimsby 1. Grimsby have a goal back. Back to Wembley, Katie Smith.
Into the 70th minute, still England 1, Spain 0. Much more open second half. Spain have hit the post and the crossbar. England with big chances through Lauren James and Russo. Just no one able to find the target. Next goal feels crucial in hunt for automatic World Cup qualifying. England 1, Spain 0.
Colchester 1, Accrington 1. So Colchester have equalised at home there in League 2. The rain is now falling even a little heavier as it remains 0-0 25 minutes into this game. Back with Frimpong. Frimpong short forward ball, but Paris Saint-Germain are pressing and not allowing Liverpool out of their own half, and Frimpong has to turn and puts the ball out of play for a throw. They are such a good side to watch, but such a hard team to play against.
Oh, they are. They're brilliant at pressing, and they're finding it very difficult at times, Liverpool, to get out. And they have to take a leaf out of Paris Saint-Germain's book. Not everything's pretty. Every now and again, they'll spin you, they'll go over the top. Hakimi's just tried it there. It's a lovely ball over the top. Arne Slot actually tried to kick that. Luis Enrique is furious. He's right as well. Arne Slot stepped almost onto the pitch and tried to kick the ball. He cannot do that.
No, he can't. And as a result, the Italian referee will wander across to have a word with Arne Slot, and in fact will actually give a throw to PSG. Back to Conor McNamara.
And a delay in play due to an Astor injury for Barcelona's Fermin Lopez, hurt in the process of almost making it 3-0 to the visitors. His header was saved. He was then unintentionally cut in the face by the boot of the goalkeeper. But the goals from Lamine Yamal.
Ground as if to say, who's just kicked me? What's just happened there? And then he got back up as if he thought, I can walk. And he just collapsed to the floor, almost like he couldn't put any weight through it at all. Marquinhos had hold of his hand. He's in agony. He's in so much pain here, Hugo Ekitike.
The stretcher has been called for. The Liverpool physio, actually, the PSG players, some of them were showing concern for him, and the physio actually just said, gee, just give him a bit of space, just swish them away. But there's naturally concern for Hugo Ekitike, because this is not just a blow for Liverpool, but it's a blow for France.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just think of a player in this situation, it's absolutely heartbreaking for him. But whenever there is an injury, there's an opportunity for someone else, and Mohamed Salah is the one who will be entering the pitch.
Mo Salah, who's on 48 goals in the Champions League for Liverpool, will be coming on to replace Ekitike. It's his name that reverberates around Anfield, as quite rightly there is a lot of due care and concern that has been shown to the injured Hugo Ekitike. So we'll go to Fratton Park and Chris Wise.
Portsmouth 0, Ipswich 0, a game of intensity but few chances, though Milanik Ali, the Portsmouth winger, has just lashed a shot at goal from distance, tipped over by Christian Walton, the Ipswich goalkeeper. 32 play, Portsmouth 0, Ipswich 0.
And we'll stay on the south coast. Emily Herbert at Southampton.
Southampton 1, Blackburn 0. Southampton on top, deservingly have the lead. Archer with a shot on target a few moments ago. They're up to 4th in the playoff standings, 13 to go. Southampton 1, Blackburn 0.
The sad sight of Hugo Ekitike carried off on a stretcher down the tunnel. And the genuine fears is that his season is over. His World Cup participation in the summer likely to be over as well, if it is the Achilles injury that we suspect. And Mo Salah comes on to replace Hugo Ekitike with 15 minutes to go at a half-time. Play then back underway at a windy and wet Anfield, where it remains 0-0, and PSG still lead by 2 goals to 0 on aggregate. Mamadashvili goes high downfield. Salah picks it up. Early ball into the penalty area. Konate's header. Van Dijk and Wirtz both went for the same ball. And Marquinhos somehow, with a goal-saving challenge, threw himself at the feet of both.
Yeah, he's absolutely right to celebrate it as well. It's a huge opportunity. The save from Saponov is brilliant to start with. And then as it falls out to the feet of the Liverpool player, Marquinhos, he makes an unbelievable challenge. It's a goal-saving challenge. It's unbelievable from him. He gets it away from Van Dijk. Wow.
That was incredible from Marquinhos. as the corner kick comes in from the right. Safanov under pressure. That was the in-swinger that Stephen Warnock was talking about. That was a wild effort from Kerkez, who slashed that well off target. And it's actually gone out for a throw in front of the Sekeni Dalglish stand over on the far side. And it remains 0-0 on the night. Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Conor McNamara.
So still Atletico Madrid 1, Barcelona 2 on the evening. Atletico leading 3-2 on aggregate, 10 minutes remaining in the first half, and it's been end-to-end right from the get-go. Ademola Lookman scoring an absolutely key goal that has Atleti back in front.
You forget about the Safanov save, don't you, from Kerkez sliding it in.
It wasn't even Kerkez, it was Hakimi. Honestly, the save is outrageous because Safanov he's pulled towards his back post and Hakimi hits the ball. It's going back towards the front post, so he's going the opposite way, gets down to his left-hand side, pushes it out, and then Marquinhos reacts so quick to get down and there's sliding tackling against Van Dijk. It looked like a certain goal. I was at my seat, I just thought he's going to tap it in. It's an unbelievable save and an even better challenge.
Wales women now lead Albania 4-0 in Group 1 of their World Cup qualifier. Throw for PSG on that far side. Still it remains 0-0 on the night. And Szoboszlai quite happy for it to go out of play for a throw. Konate back towards Mamardashvili.
Well, they just know PSG that Mamardashvili's not comfortable with the ball at his feet. Every time it goes back to him, they press him so quickly.
Dembele flicks it to Hakimi, coming forward. Wirtz is prepared to challenge. Hakimi holds it off, passes the ball back to Doué. McAllister snaps into the challenge. Liverpool are after PSG. They're looking to close them down. Pacho was almost caught in possession by a combination of Salah and Isak.
Do you know what, Deno? He took a heavy touch and it worked for him, because if he'd have took the touch he wanted, Isak would have pinched it. The press is brilliant from Liverpool. It was really impressive. But what about the play from Paris Saint-Germain to find themselves still on the ball and finding a way out of that press? It is brilliant from PSG.
Half-time at Barrow, Adam Cottier.
Barrow 0, Oldham 0 here. Barrow fighting to stay in the Football League, nearly conceded in first half added time when Oldham's Mike Fondop headed against the top of the bar. Barrow 0, Oldham 0.
Other half-time scores: Colchester 1, Accrington 1, Cheltenham 0, Gillingham 1, Chesterfield League, Grimsby 2-1. This is the Champions League on 5 Live. Kvaratskhelia hassled, harried by Konate, and Kvaratskhelia picks the ball up down by the advertising hoardings, level with the Liverpool penalty area on that far side, the left. We've got 11 minutes to go to half-time, and it remains 0-0.
Yeah, we'll probably have even longer, won't we, Deno, with the injury? So for Liverpool, it's ideal.
Hakimi, who's given the ball straight to Szoboszlai, pops it forward. Wirtz looking for a diagonal ball. Vitinha, he's been outstanding, running back with the interception. Szoboszlai, though, now comes forward, tries to battle for it. There was Zaire Emery, and now it's with Neves. Vitinha to his left, he seems to be everywhere at the moment. Vitinha's forward ball. Dembele, man over on this side is Doué. Kerkez running back with a back pass.
Final ball has to be better from Paris Saint-Germain. Van Dijk trying to play an offside, but what he didn't know was Frimpong was deeper. Simple ball through the middle. Konate had stepped into the space.
It's a quality game.
It's brilliant, really is.
Here is Neves. Paris Saint-Germain go back to Pacho in the centre circle. Half-time at Bolton. Sani.
Bolton 2, Stevenage 0, Cozy Dewberry from 20 yards, and Johnny Kenny side-footing for 2-0. He was then punched in the back of the head by Stevenage's Daniel Phillips, promptly sent off. And a break, Bolton 2, Stevenage 0.
Kvaratskhelia with a shot, takes a deflection, loops behind for a corner kick that Dembele is sauntering across to that far side. They're in front of the Kop. I can't help but think to 10 years ago to the day when Liverpool scored those 3 goals in the second half against Borussia Dortmund. They're certainly going to require 2 as it stands, just to force extra time, as the corner is played short, back towards Dembele, cut out by Salah, the substitute. Wirtz tries to get it towards Frimpong, succeeds. Frimpong then gives it away. Wirtz was actually going on the overlap. Doué now forward for PSG, left hand side, 6 yards up from the byline. And it's Kerkez who's in that right-back position, who's trying to keep hold of Doué, who's able to pass the ball somehow inside. Zaire Emery's cross, cushion header from Van Dijk, off the head of McAllister. They present it back towards PSG. And Vitinha back towards Mendes. Pacho now in the centre circle, and they work it towards Neves. Dancing out of his technical area. Arne Slot trying to patrol those red shirts of his. But PSG forward, Hakimi on this near side. Hakimi waits, right-hand side of the penalty area. 36 minutes played, 0-0. Marquinhos out towards Neves on that far side. Mendes, Doué, Konate will go with him. Making the run off the ball was Vitinha, wasn't spotted.
Deno, away from home, the belief to make that run and know that your teammate's either going to retain the ball or find you, it's so brave. And I talk about that bravery. This team is so well organised to allow Vitinha to do that. You wouldn't think that team is so young. Oh, Paris Saint-Germain have got a problem.
Yeah. Half-time at Huddersfield, Tom Gale.
Huddersfield 1, Cardiff 0. Visitors auto-promotion push stalling after hitting the bar and being denied by excellent goalkeeping. Ryan Ledson's volley the difference so far. Huddersfield 1, Cardiff 0.
It's Mendes, the player who's gone down, and straight away, Luis Enrique not prepared to take that chance.
Yeah, he's saying substitute. I think it might be a hamstring. I think that's the issue at the moment for Nuno Mendes, and that is it's a problem because he's an exceptional defender.
And also great going forward as well, the Portuguese international. 8 assists as well as his 6 goals that he's scored. The 23-year-old defender, the left back, so Lucas Hernandez will come on to replace him. The other half-time scores, incidentally, in League One: Port Vale 0, Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 0, Mansfield 0, and Wigan leading Rotherham by a goal to 0. So Rotherham could be relegated tonight as it stands. They're without a win in 8 as play is back underway and Hernandez comes on. The Liverpool supporters whip up the atmosphere inside Anfield. It's goalless so far. Incidentally, this is PSG's 62nd Champions League knockout game, and they are yet to feature in a goalless draw. I'll be very surprised if it finished goalless come the end of the 90.
Well, I just can't see it. I just think that the way both teams are playing, I think the biggest thing I'd say about Liverpool is where's this performance been? I mean, this has been a great game, but Liverpool have showed their teeth as well and showed that they're capable of hurting them.
They might bare their teeth now as Wirtz runs forward on the right-hand side. Salah wants it back. Salah gets it back inside the penalty area. Salah couldn't get a sight of goal. Had to roll it to the right, towards Wirtz. Flicks it back towards Salah. Salah, though, is dispossessed by... I think it was Hernandez, and he concedes the corner kick.
I think it was Kvaratskhelia. The only reason I know that is because his socks are down by his ankles. But do you know what I love about him? He works so hard for his team. Any young winger watching the game now, he epitomises what the best wingers do.
What a time for Liverpool to score here at Anfield. They have a corner kick 5 minutes before half-time. Mo Salah to take it. Konate's up, as is Van Dijk. Doesn't beat the first man. Vitinha gives it back towards Salah to Gravenberch, right corner of the area. Gravenberch goes down the side, enters the penalty area, plays it in low, and then it was cleared away by Neves, and all of a sudden there's a counter-attack on for PSG. Doué, Szoboszlai running back, will try and hold him up and manages to force him back, and by that point there are then 5 supporting red shirts back to quell any counter-attack.
Well, if you want anyone to be recovering, it's Szoboszlai. He's an absolute machine. He's got so much athleticism, so much strength. He fancied himself against Doué then. He's not afraid of anyone. He thinks he can match anyone, Szoboszlai. And again, the crowd appreciating exactly that work rate, that application, that he's the one who's probably shown that for most of the season.
A game that affects both ends of the table in the Championship. Goal, Fratton Park, Chris Wise.
And it's a Portsmouth goal. They lead Ipswich 1-0 just before half-time. Conor Shaughnessy commanding header from a corner. Portsmouth 1, Ipswich 0.
It would take Pompey 4 points clear of Oxford. Kvaratskhelia inside towards Vitinha. Vitinha gives it back towards the Georgian, but then he stumbles, falls backwards. But Vitinha goes chasing after Frimpong. And then the ball is cleared long by Frimpong.
Oh, what a touch that was.
That was Neves to win it back for PSG. And here is Neves once again with his balance. Now towards Hakimi. Dembele is wide right. Here he is. Dembele. Zaire Emery makes a run off the ball. Creates the space for Vitinha. Vitinha goes for the chip. And it was caught head height by Mamardashvili.
Oh, he's a good player, but that is overconfidence from Vitinha, he didn't have to try and dink Mamardashvili. He's trying to be so clever. If he gets his strike away, he's in a brilliant position in the box. He'll cause him so many problems, Mamardashvili.
5 of his 6 goals in the Champions League have been against English sides, including, of course, that hat-trick against Tottenham earlier in the competition. Another goal on the South Coast, and it's at Southampton this time. Emily.
And the fine form continues. Southampton 2, Blackburn 0. It's a deflected own goal in from close range, but it's created by Ryan Manning, swinging it in. 3 to go before the break. Southampton 2, Blackburn 0.
That would take Southampton looking to go 15 unbeaten in the Championship. 0-0 here at Anfield. 3 minutes to remaining of this first half. Salah with a lot of urgency chases after Kvaratskhelia. Back it goes towards Hernandez, who will clear the ball. Lucas Hernandez downfield, and Konate thought about going back to Mamardashvili, but Doué was putting him under pressure, and Konate remained calm and composed and eventually rolls it back to the Liverpool goalkeeper. A second goal at Fratton Park, Chris Wise.
2 goals in 3 minutes for Portsmouth. They're 2-0 up against Ipswich. Colby Bishop prodded in the latest one, and the Ipswich players are having a team
Makini
huddle
with a cross in towards Dembele, and Mamardashvili was there. In fact, no, it was Kirkes who was just sliding back. Support for the leading Ipswich 2-0. Southampton are leading Blackburn Rovers by 2-0. And here you can't take your eye off this game for a minute.
No, you can't. It's so quick. The way that they move the ball. Paris Saint-Germain, Konate with the big sliding tackle, so important.
Vitinha with a cross, goes out for a goal kick. Sorry, Chris.
2-0 Pompey. That Bishop goal has set Fratton Park alive. I was going to tell you, the Ipswich players having a team huddle on the edge of their penalty area after conceding. Pompey 2, Ipswich 0.
Thank you, Chris. Less than 2 minutes to go. Oh, that's a slip by Gravenberch. Gives it ball to Doué. It will be getting greasy underfoot now in this rain. It's getting heavier all the time. Kvaratskhelia, left corner of the area, enters the box. Kvaratskhelia away from Frimpong, stands it up towards the far post, poured away by Mamardashvili, and then Dembele right-footed as it drops into the side netting. It was never going on target. 0-0.
Now they're causing themselves their own problems. Liverpool overplaying in midfield. McAllister hasn't been at the races so far tonight. Drops one short to Gravenberch. Gravenberch now just asking the question, just talking to him. Has to be better. And you cannot afford to lose the ball in transition, because Paris Saint-Germain are so deadly going forward.
Mamardashvili has been busy, but so far his goal is yet to be breached. In that game against Fulham, it was only a second clean sheet in 10. Savinoff hasn't been as busy as maybe Arne Slot and the Liverpool supporters would have wanted. Paris Saint-Germain clear. Kirkes controls the ball on the halfway line. Bypasses McAllister, but it might fall towards Salah.
No chance.
Coming together between Pacho and Salah, no foul, says the referee.
No chance. Pacho just stood his ground. He missed the initial challenge and then just blocked him, but it wasn't fair sheet.
Doué looks offside, continues and shoots, and into the side netting, and quite rightly, the flag is raised. He looks so clear offside, but the flag was stayed down, and then he hits the side netting.
Yeah, there's a huge argument going on between Van Dijk and Konate as well. They're absolutely furious at each other. One saying you've got to hold up, one saying don't step in. Van Dijk saying to Konate, you can't step into that area. You're far too high. You've got to retreat and stay deeper. He does that so often, Konate.
We're going to find out how much added time there will be as the board goes up. By my watch, we're into the added time now. 4 minutes of stoppage time. And the weather really is turning here. You think back to last week when we were in Paris. It was clear sunshine during the day, 25
degrees. Did you have a nice time, did you?
Well, I was busy doing my notes. I never saw any of it. Doing my homework inside the room. Here is Frimpong. But it feels more like autumn than spring now inside Anfield. You can hear the wind on our effects mic as Wirtz plays the ball forward. Marquinhos. What a goal-saving challenge that was earlier in the half, wasn't it? Chest the ball forward.
Ooh,
McAllister.
High as well.
Yellow card. McAllister has shown a yellow for sliding in over on that far side. And it was no hesitation from Maurizio Mariani for the challenge on João Neves.
He's got lovely footwork, hasn't he, João Neves? He just chops inside. Yeah, it's a yellow card. Well, to be honest with you, João Neves he almost sees the challenge coming, goes down, knows that McAllister's going to make contact at some point. He makes an absolute meal of it, João Neves. McAllister picks up a yellow card.
Free kick for PSG. The whistles and the boos is because the time wasting, and they're being told to hurry up by the Liverpool supporters as the ball goes forward. That looks offside again. Spotted by the assistant on this near side.
It was spotted by the referee. He gave it before the assistant referee.
Back to Chris Wise at Portsmouth.
Half-time, Pompey 2, Ipswich 0. Those two goals right at the end of the first half from Shaughnessy and Bishop, both from close range. Ipswich 9, unbeaten in the Championship, but that's under threat. Pompey 2, Ipswich 0.
Free kick then that Mamardashvili is going to take. The PSG supporters lifting aloft their navy scarves, their navy and white-red scarves in the PSG end, which is at the Anfield Road end, for those of you who know Anfield. A little bit like doing their own French version of You'll Never Walk Alone, the way that they're just every single person, not a sellout by the way. There is a few empty red seats in the corner, I notice, but they're lifting them aloft and singing away to their heart's content as they watch their side come forward. But Konate to Szoboszlai, barged over from behind by Doué. To Southampton, Emily Herbert.
Southampton 2, Blackburn 0 at the break. Lauren with the first before Manning made the second, taking a deflection, but he gets the credit. Southampton up to fourth, and with Ipswich behind at Fratton Park, they're 3 points off the automatics. Half-time, Southampton 2, Blackburn 0.
Free kick to PSG, which they're again in no real hurry to take, and it remains 0-0. A goal now at League 2. Barrow, Adam Cottier.
Barrow 0, Oldham 1. Kai Payne side putting home. Things look bleak for Barrow. They're a goal down to Oldham.
4 points off Newport, and there is a possibility they could be relegated at the weekend. But for Oldham, 4 points off the playoffs, they're still looking to try and gate crash the top 7 Mickey Mellon's side. So in stoppage time here at Anfield, and it remains goalless. And the ball is played forward and hooked away downfield by Szoboszlai. Pacho will get there and heads it forcefully out to this near side. Hakimi. There's a PSG player down, that is Doué. João Neves looks for Dembele, cut out by Konate. Doué is still on the ground, as here is Wirtz, midway through the Liverpool half. Barged from Vitinha. Wirtz, though, then gives the ball towards Kvaratskhelia, helped out by Konate. Clatters the ball away downfield, and Marquinhos on the volley. Brought down off the chest by Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai's ball towards Wirtz, and Wirtz now finds Salah on that right-hand side. Salah, though, sold Wirtz short. The interception easily made by PSG. Dembele over the halfway line. Salah tries to come back at Dembele, who runs with the ball and passes the ball towards Zaire Emery. Left-hand side, Dembele takes it into his feet, goes the long way around. 360-degree turn, runs into trouble, runs into traffic. And then Liverpool are able to deal with that, and there is the half-time whistle. Liverpool 0, PSG 0, Stephen Warnock.
Oh, brilliant game of football. It's ebbed and flowed. It's been so interesting to watch tactically. The players are playing at the highest level. Some of the interchange in both teams has been exceptional, but we just haven't had that moment of quality at either end to open up the game.
It has been a highly quality game, full of entertainment. Dembele missing a chance, hooking it over after 16 minutes for PSG, and then Marquinhos with a goal-saving block to deny Van Dijk. Well, it was a combination of Van Dijk and Wirtz, but it's 0-0 at the break, and it means that Paris Saint-Germain still lead 2-0 on aggregate. Kelly.
Thank you, Deno. That's Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock at Anfield for you. Also there, Julien Laurent. Jules, I think there's an element of surprise as to how well Liverpool have done in that first half. Is there a contrasting surprise that PSG have allowed them to do that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of intensity and what Liverpool had to do and try to press and try to put them under pressure and get the crowd going, I think they've done that. Really, there's that big tackle by Marquinhos on the line that denies Van Dijk an open goal, sure. But Dembele should have scored before. He was in a position almost as good as Van Dijk was later, and I thought PSG in possession have been outstanding, really, under the pressure, under the rain, with the crowd, to keep that ball, to keep moving. Everything that we explained pre-match in terms of their rotation and their movement and interchanging, like Warney put it in that first half commentary, I think has been great. And maybe they just lacked a little bit of more efficiency and precision in the last pass. A couple of times I grabbed Warney's on my left, I grabbed his arm, and he's got 3 coats, so he's not cold compared to me, but because it lacked a little bit of something there. But I thought it's been a great first half, really, from both teams, but in different ways, I think.
Yeah, very enjoyable first half at Anfield, but no goals as yet. We'll be back for the second half of Liverpool against Paris Saint-Germain. 0-0 at half-time. Paris Saint-Germain have that 2-0 advantage from the first leg. It was 2-0 to Atletico Madrid against Barcelona after the first leg between those two teams, and they've had 3 goals in this second leg already. Conor McNamara can tell us what's been happening.
Yes, these knockout games in the Champions League always seem to deliver the highest quality. Atletico won, Barcelona 2 at half-time. Atletico lead 3-2 on aggregate. The chances just kept coming through that opening 45 minutes. Lamine Yamal nearly scoring after 30 seconds. He did score in the 4th minute. Barcelona made it 2-2 on aggregate when Ferran Torres scored after 24 minutes. Then a goal against the run of play. But what a key goal for Atletico Madrid. A wonderful counter-attack finished by Ademola Lookman to put the home side back in front. But Barca's high press continued to draw errors from Atleti after that. And really, Atletico Madrid are hanging on here. On the night, Atletico Madrid 1, Barcelona 2, and Atletico leading 3-2 on aggregate.
There have also been Women's World Cup qualifiers taking place this evening, including at Wembley, where England were playing Spain. Katie Smith.
Full-time, England 1, Spain 0. A huge win for the Lionesses against the world champions, and Hannah Hampton with a match-winning save right on the cusp of added time towards the end. Imad's header coming in from close range, and Hampton, who looked a little nervy at the start of this game, redemption for her. A big performance once again from the keeper. Lauren Hemm's 3rd-minute goal, the difference. England respected their opponents. They looked confident in the relentless defending they had to show in the second half. Also showed some flashes of real magic going forward. Just shots on target, hard to come by from both sides. In terms of tables, though, it means England now 3 points clear of Spain, and the crucial thing to remember, only the top team at the end of these qualifiers will automatically book their spot in Brazil for the tournament next summer. It ends here, England 1, Spain 0.
And there's been another goal at Bolton. Sandy Rajavajula.
It's brilliant from Bolton. 3-0 they lead over Stevenage. Lovely one-touch stuff. And with Mario Cozier-Dubry, who actually went 17 games without scoring, he's now got 2, the Brighton low knee. Stevenage down to 10. They are 3-0 down. Bolton 3, Stevenage 0.
Really busy night in the EFL, busy night in the Champions League, busy night in terms of Women's World Cup qualifiers. We're across all of it here on 5 Live this evening, and our second half commentary comes from Anfield, where it's Liverpool 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0 on the night. Paris Saint-Germain 2-0 up on aggregate. Second half coming up after the BBC News with Nick Qureshi.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The International Monetary Fund is predicting a higher cost of energy because of the Iran war will hit the UK more than any other advanced economy. It's downgraded Britain's growth forecast from 1.3% this year to 0.8%. So Howard Davis is a former Deputy Governor of the Bank of England.
The government sold bonds today at 4.91%, which is pretty high, frankly, for a 10-year money. What that means, and I think Rachel Reeves understands this very well, is that the idea of generalised, widespread subsidies to energy prices is really not possible for us. If she's going to do anything on prices, I think she has to do it in a very targeted way.
The US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is calling on Israel and Lebanon to seize a historic opportunity for peace. He's hosted the first direct talks between them in decades. The government has rejected criticism from the former Labour Defence Secretary Lord Robertson that it's not investing enough in the armed forces. He's accused ministers of corrosive complacency. An inquest has heard the Soham killer Ian Huntley died from a blunt head injury. He was attacked in a prison workshop in February. The chief executive of South East Water says he won't take his annual bonus. It's after tens of thousands of people in Kent and Sussex were left without drinking water earlier this year. And Doctor Who star Ncuti Gatwa is among those getting an honorary doctorate from the University of Glasgow. The university says it's because of the profound and positive impact that the recipients have had within their professions and wider society.
Lord Sugar has one last task. Remember, only one of you can win my £250,000 investment. And his final hustlers are gonna go all in.
I might be young, but I am here for the win.
This could be where everything for me changes.
But who is gonna get hired? The conclusion is that I'll be investing in The Apprentice Final. Thursday on BBC iPlayer.
This is 5 Live Sports, the Champions League with Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Second half commentary from Anfield coming up, where it's Liverpool 0, Paris Saint-Germain 0. Paris Saint-Germain 2-0 up from the first leg. Tomorrow night, Arsenal are looking to get consecutive Champions League semi-finals for the first time ever, and they take a 1-0 lead against Sporting to the Emirates. Mikel Arteta has been reflecting, though, on the weekend's defeat by Bournemouth and talking about how they can bounce back.
Well, obviously it was a big disappointment and a hard one to take, especially losing at home when we have the opportunity to make that gap bigger and bring more certainty and get into this week in the best possible manner. But what we are trying to achieve is difficult, is challenging, is bumpy at times, and it's supposed to be like this. So you have to confront it. So we value a lot where we are. We have the opportunity tomorrow to go to the semi-finals. We are competing to win the Premier League, and we're in a really strong position after 22 years without doing it. So we know the difficulty of that, but the beauty of it is that is difficult, that is challenging, and that's why we are so willing to do it.
What do you want from the team tomorrow in terms of performance and from the crowd? Because it feels like it was a little bit stressed on Saturday, so there is so much at stake, there's so much excitement, Champions League quarter-final. What would you like to say to the crowd and the players, really, about what you want?
No fear, pure fire. That's it. Me, the first one. Pure fire. That's what I want to see.